the scene will shift a little bit. We're going to see Moshe is still on the mountain, and the people, children of Israel, waiting for his return, fearing his death, and demanding new leadership and a visible God to go before them. So this chapter is a turning point, right, from where you see the people who have been faithful to a point where they're turning to a golden calf. And then we're going to see where Moshe will have to eventually intercede for their mercy. So we're going to read Shemot chapter 32 verses 1 through to 6. And when the people saw that Moshe was so long in coming down from the mountain, and the people gathered together to Aharon and said to him, Arise, make us mighty ones who go before us. For this Moshe, the man who brought us up out of the land of Mizraim, we do not know what has become of him. And Aharon said to them, Take off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me. And all the people took off the golden earrings which were in their ears and brought them to Aharon. And he took this from their hand, and he performed it with an engraving tool and made a molded calf. And they said, This is your mighty one, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Mizraim. And Aaron saw and built a slaughter place before it. And Aaron called out and said, Tomorrow is a festival to the Creator. And they rose early on the next day and offered ascending offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. So there we're seeing impatience came to the fore. The people were fearful, and we saw that Aaron told them, what to do, to strip themselves of their jewelry, and we saw where a declaration was made, right? A declaration was made, and the declaration is, "These are your gods. This is our God, but these are your gods." And that turned their heart toward an image instead of the Creator. The Creator takes idolatry seriously, right? Aaron, I do not know if he was trying to buy time and all that, but I'm thinking that, asking women to give up their jewelry, that is something that would take a long while to do, and maybe there would have been objections to that, but no, they actually gave up their jewelry, and it seemed to have happened in a quick succession, right? The thing is that Moshe would have been invited up to the Creator for a 40-day visit, right? So it would be 40 days from the day that he had left the people, the children of Israel. And I'm believing if they had more patience, maybe did their counting more patiently, not including that original day, then Moshe would have returned in time. But there's a lot of could have and should have, would have, could have possibilities. But the short of it is that they grew impatient and they wanted something to see. Some persons make a decision in life that they based on what they see rather than what is better for them, right? And Aaron gave them what they requested. They stripped themselves of the jewelry, and he placed the gold in a cloth and shaped it with a tool. I don't know if Aaron had that smith tool that the carver would use to make a calf, but I think there's a mention where that when it was thrown in the fire and a molten calf came out, right? And I'm wondering if this isn't magic, right? That something like that could happen, for the as a sign to the people. And who would have created this magic? He took it from, the first verse says, he took it from their hand and he formed it with a graven tool, made molten calf. This is your mighty one. So basically, it appears that he is the one that had the tool, and he is the one that did the construction of the golden calf. So they got what they wanted, and it's just unfortunate that the people pushed so quickly toward idolatry when Moshe was delayed. And this is normally happening when people's expectations for timing not met. Instead of trusting the Creator's timing, they let fear and impatience drive them to demand a visible God, and they wanted an immediate human leadership. This was a decision that Aaron did while he was under pressure. He actually appeared to be afraid of the crowd and tried to manage them by compromise, building an altar and calling it a festival to the Creator, showing how leaders can drift when they fear people more than the Creator. This festival, though, has always been an issue to me, because I see it as, is it one of the festival appointments to the Creator? When you check when they had left Mitzrayim to the point, it lines up sometimes in the count with Shavuot. So I'm wondering if it was an appointed holy day or it was a festival that was being done on the day. But let's read on. Verse 7. Verse 7 says, we're reading from 7 to 14, and the Creator said to Moshe, go get down, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Mitzrayim have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded calf, and have bowed themselves to it, and slaughtered to it, and said, this is your mighty one, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. And the Creator said to Moshe, I have seen this people, and see, it is a stiff-necked people, and now let me alone, that my wrath might burn against them, and I consume them, and make you a great nation. What Moshe pleaded with the Creator is Elohim, and said, Creator, why does your wrath burn against your people, whom you have brought out of the land of Mitzrayim, with great power, and with a strong hand? Why should the Mizrahites speak and say, for evil he brought them out of, to kill them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from the heat of your wrath, and relent from this evil to your people. Remember Abraham, remember Yitzhak, and remember Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by yourself, and said to them, I increase your seed like the stars of the heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of I give to your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Creator relented from the evil which he said he would do to his people. So we see the Creator's anger kindled, and we are seeing Moshe's intercession. In this section, he told Moshe to go down, and he referred to the people, go down to your people. He didn't say, right, go down to my people, or go down to Israel. He says, go down to your people. Right? It reminds me when sometimes persons come have a conflict, and or they're dealing with a child, and when the child is misbehaving, it's your child, but when the child is doing well, the child is theirs. So it's just like that. Israel was described as a stiff-necked people who have turned aside quickly from the Creator's command. The Creator said, let me alone. So when I saw that, I'm saying, is it that Moshe is being a bother for the Creator to be responding to say, let me alone? I think it's verse 10. The Creator says, let me alone. And that in that Moshe had already begun to plead to the Creator. Creator spoke as if the wrath would burn hot and destroy them, making a great nation from Moshe instead. But let's pay attention to the intercession. And this intersection actually came in the form of a question. Why? Why does your anger burn against your people? He associates himself with them saying us instead of with identifying with their guilt. So Moshe, he doesn't distance himself from Israel. Why does your anger burn against us? So that in itself, and that's a sign of a true leader. When the people are doing well, he claims them, and when they're not doing well, he still claims them. And he also remember the promise that was made to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov. Those were faithful patriarchs. Remember, even Yitzchak, he was ready to surrender himself, when his father brought him up on that starting place, right? And so the Creator would have sworn to the fathers, So if that is the case, how is it that the Creator seems ready to wipe them out? So he is right, Moshe, in asking the Creator to turn from the fierce anger and to remember his covenant, right? The covenant is eternal, right? So this would have bought time and held up, prevented from them to receiving the immediate wrath from the Creator, right? So this is a very interesting section, and the basis that Moshe asked the Creator to spare the people is genuine. He appealed not to Israel's behavior, but to the Creator, in his name, his promises, and the merits of the forefathers. And this is an example that we can use, to pray and remind the Creator of his promises to us and his character and his covenant, and believe that should help. We're going to read 15 to 20. It says, and Moshe turned and went down from the mountain, and in his hand he were the 2 tablets of the witness, tablets written on both their sides, written on the one and on the other. And the tablets were the work of Elohim, and the tablets were the work of Elohim, and the writing was the writing of Elohim engraved on the tablets. Verse 17. And Yahushua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, and he said to Moshe, a noise of battle is in the camp. But he said, it is not the sound of those who shout of might, nor is it the sound of those who cry out in weakness, but the sound of singing that I hear. And it came to be, as soon as he came near the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moshe's displeasure burned, and he threw the tablets out of his hands and broke them at the foot of the mountain. And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire, and ground it into powder, scattered it on the face of the water, and made the children of Israel drink it. So the tablet, it was there with Moshe, and Moshe heard it. The noise was heard, but Yeshua thought it was something triumphant or victorious, but Moshe picked up what it was about. This tablet was described as the writing. The writing was on both sides of the tablet, and you know that whenever, for example, you write on a stencil, when one side you can read, and the other side would not be readable. But how it appeared on the tablet, it suggests that it was legible on both sides, because the writing was the writing of Elohim. Right? Moshe was disappointed when he saw what really happened. His anger, it burned. He was fuming, and of course, he, being emotionally charged, he threw the tablets to the ground. broke them at the foot of the mountain, right? And this is not is significant because when the tablets broke, it actually that was a sign that the covenant would had been shattered, by the sin of Israel. So that is something that had to be restored. The calf that was there, he took it, he crushed it, and he scattered it on water and made the people drink it. No, I do not know if you remember what is the test that happens when a woman commits adultery. She's brought before the people, and she's given a bitter like water to drink, and based on how her body responds, then it can identify whether she's guilty or not. So this is the same thing that happens here. They got something to drink that was bitter. They're forced to drink this water, right? And it shows that what they're doing is synonymous with adultery, right? The question may ask, why did Moshe break the tablets rather than simply rebuke the people, right? But it was a sign of the spiritual reality that their sin created, right? The people, it signified that the people actually broke the covenant, right? So this is something that would have caused this very much disappointment for Moshe. We're going to read from verses 21 through to 29. And Moshe said to Aharon, "What did these people do to you that you have brought so great a sin upon them?" And Aharon said, "Do not let the displeasure of my master burn. You know the people, that it is in evil. And they said to me, Make us mighty ones who go before us, for this Moshe, the man who brought us out of the land of Mitzrayim, we do not know what has become of him. And I said to them, Whoever has gold, let them take it off. And they gave it to me, and I threw it into the fire, and this came out. This calf came out. And Moshe saw that the people were let loose, for Aaron had let them loose to their shame among their enemies. Moshe stood in the entrance of the camp and said, Who is for the Creator? Come to me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves to him. And he said to them, Thus says the Creator, Elohim of Israel, each one put his sword on his side, pass over to and fro from gate to gate in the camp, each one unalive his brother, and each one his friend, and each one his relative. And the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moshe, and about 3,000 men of the people fell that day. And Moshe said, You are ordained for the Creator today, since each one has been against his son and his brother, so as to bring upon you a blessing today. So for having given the people the test, given them the water to drink, and broken the tablet and broken the tablets, Moshe turned to Aharon, confronted him, and must be wondering if it's these people would have pressured him or caused him harm for this to happen. But let us note what Aharon replied. He said that the people are set on evil. He said he asked for their gold and cast it in the fire, and this came out, and as if it emerged unexpectedly. When we read it first, it said that he formed it, but this time it's saying the calf came out. So what really happened? The people were out of control. It was a disgrace, a shameful exposure before their enemies. Right? So Moshe had to just get to the point. Who is for the Creator? Seeing that they have turned to idolatry. Creator sees idolatry in such severe evil light. And we see the Levites, they responded. They're the ones responded. Separate themselves as those who stood with the Creator. Right? And he gave them further instruction even when he touched his brother from another mother, he had to show that these people had to be separated. Go through the camp and strike down those who persist, even a brother. So if it was a brother from the same father of the Levite, then that brother would have been a Levite. So that means when we say he used to strike his brother, it would mean like brother that had from a different mother. And that day, about 3,000 fell. And that day, the Levites were set apart and ordained, in a sense, gaining a special role through their zeal for the Creator. And we need more men like this to lead their families who will stand for the Creator, regardless of what is the expectation of them, right? And once they follow the path of righteousness, then they will that is set apart. Each time I read Aaron's explanation, we see that the sinful human nature, he actually minimizes his role and he blames the people, showing how often we excuse ourselves rather than confess plainly, even when we clearly know that we participated in the wrong. Right? The Levites, on the other hand, they chose the Creator over family and discomfort, demonstrating uncompromising loyalty to the Creator. So the zeal in a hard moment led their consecration for service. Alright, we're going to read the last section, which is Shemot 32 verses 30 to 35. 30 to 35. And it came to be on the next day that Moshe said to the people, You have sinned a great sin, and now I am going up to the Creator if I might atone for yourself. Moshe returned to the Creator and said, Oh, these people have sinned a great sin and have made for themselves a mighty one of gold. And now, if you'd forgive their sin, but if not, please blot me out of your book which you have written. And the Creator said to Moshe, Whoever has sinned against me, I blot him out of my book. And now, go, lead the people to the place of which I have spoken to you. See, my messenger goes before you, and in the day of my visitation I shall visit their sin upon them, and the plague and greater plague to the people, because they made the calf which Aharon had made. So having read this, we see where Moshe told the people, You have committed a great sin. Got straight to the point, but he goes up again. He went up and he sought atonement on their behalf. He confessed their sin before the Creator and even offers himself. If Creator will not forgive them, then blot me out of your book. That's what Moshe said, right? And that book that the Creator has, I we'd have discussed before the book of life, but this is actually the book of Torah, Israel being written in the book of Torah. Not seeing in this where Moshe is blaming the Creator. He's actually pleading for mercy and offering to suffer with the people, not for the people as to take upon this sin upon himself, but to suffer with them. And the Creator responded, He will blot out the ones who sinned against him, and commanded Moshe to lead the people to the place he had promised. Do we notice in 34 it mentions that see my messenger? In my version it actually has messenger in capital letter, and in the day of my visitation, right? But basically this messenger is none other than an angel, right? An angel will go before them, yet there will be a day of reckoning when the Creator visits their sin. The question remains whether future sins of Israel will be weighed in light of the golden calf. That's always going to be remembered, when recounting the history of Israel. The Creator struck them with a plague because of what they did with the calf that Aaron made, and showing that mercy does not remove all consequences. So a lot of persons would want to be pardoned for the wrongs that they have done, but they had to face up to their wrongs. So we see Moshe's willingness to be blotted out, teaching us about leadership, a leader who's willing to share the burden of the people, even to the point of self-sacrifice. And his heart, it modeled one that's willing to stand in a gap, reflecting on the heart of a mediator. The Creator does not forgive, or when he forgives, he does not remove the consequences of the sin. He spared them from total destruction, but still sent a plague and warned of future reckoning, showing that the forgiveness and consequences are not the same thing. So that's a very interesting experience and that we had, we looked at, and as we continue to look in the book of Shemot, we'll see how the Creator interacted with his people and how they interact with him. We'll look at any special verses now that we have further questions on. Any questions on any particular verse?
He was the one with Moses, took the gold and silver from the people rather, and make a golden calf. When Aaron himself knew, shouldn't he have been more afraid of the Creator than the people? And why would Moses need, it sounded as though Moses was scolding the Creator.
Yeah, the tone. Right, well, to answer the first question, I think it's human nature when you are one against the world, when you're up against, two persons or three persons, it can be intimidating, it can drive fear in you, and it that high level of provocation would cause he would have to respond. I think it would have been smart if he was